Well, we are in Aza kibbutz, which is a community settlement barely 1.5 kilometer away from the Gaza border. And October 7th was Shabbat, holiday plus also a very holy day for the Jews. And at around 6:30 is when the rockets started getting fired from the Gaza Strip. There was a alarm, a siren. People went into the bomb shelters. But what they didn't realize is that it was a cover that allowed paragliders to drop into Gaza from Gaza into Aza and various other places on the border and breach the border, allow the terrorists to enter this place and go on a rampage. We are inside this kibbutz and you can see the extent of this brutal attack. You can see the grenades that were hurled, the kind of damage it's done, and also shots that were fired that have managed to get through and in fact inflict a lot of damage. If you look at the death toll from this kibbutz itself, around 62 residents were killed in this attack. 19 more were taken hostage. Two more people who are twins yet to be sent back. They are still held hostage. This is the bomb shelter inside the house, and you can see what transpired that day at this particular kibbutz, this village that's very close to the Gaza border. You also have clear marks of the gunshots that were fired. What needs to be noted here is this is a settlement that had around 600 odd people, and initially they thought this was just rockets that were being fired from Gaza, but later on they realized when they heard gunshots that these were terrorists who were on a rampage, who were going house to house, shooting people. In fact, at some point in time when people were locked inside the bomb shelter, they claimed that they were in fact men from the IDF who were there to rescue them, and when people came out from their bomb shelter, they shot at them. That's the brutality one witnessed in the Aza village here in Israel on October 7th. This kibbutz still hoping that two people from this kibbutz who are still held hostage return back home safely. Efforts have been on over the last 2 years to rebuild this entire village and also generate a fund that could help these hostages when they come back to Israel. Well, we are in Aza village that's barely around 1.5–2 kilometers away from the Gaza border, and this is a kibbutz that's seen a lot of brutality by the terrorists on October 7th, and it's also resulted in several people losing their lives. And one of them, one of the persons, survivors from that attack, is joining us. His parents were here. He was also a resident of this kibbutz at that point in time. Nearly 2 years now. What really transpired on that day, sir?
What was happened on that day?
Yeah.
Disaster. On one word, it's disaster. How I can explain that people understand? It was disaster. Criminal or animals, people came and just took our life, took our confidence, our peaceful life. Yeah.
How many people were abducted? How many yet to return now? Who've been held hostage from this kibbutz?
We had 19 hostages from that place, and most of them came back, thank God. And we have 2 more that they are still there, Gali and Zivi, the twins, that we are fighting for them every day.
You were that day inside your house, your parents were nearby. The sirens went off. It initially started as a rocket attack. What transpired in the hours after that, sir? Because bomb shelters were there, but you had people going from door to door, the terrorists going door to door, shooting at people.
Me and my wife, we've been ready to be dead. We just start to plan our death. Are we gonna die, and if something will kill me first or her first, what the other will do. And yes, we understand that it's not enough. And a big shelter, or that shelter, or just to be on the shelter. So We understand that we have terrorists, they just passing and got inside.
And then they claimed that they were from IDF and then shot people.
From the IDF, they said that
Yeah,
they
they
are the
said.
IDF, yes, who is clearly able, yes, some of them, from some houses.
Thank you, sir. Well, these are stories that keep repeating with several families at this kibbutz village of sorts here, barely a kilometer away from the Gaza border. So it's been almost nearly 2 years since this incident happened. Several who've been taken hostage. The wait continues for the family. How are they coping up with it for nearly 2 years now?
My cousin was murdered on October 7th, and her 3-year-old daughter was taken hostage, and she was held for 52 days. Those were impossible days to function. We couldn't, as her family, we couldn't eat, we couldn't sleep. We were just constantly concerned with no information. There are no international relief organizations that have gone to check on the hostages, so we really have no information about their well-being or how they're being treated. And now she was released after 52 days. Now it's been 705 days. We know that since she and most of the women and children were released in a negotiated settlement, the conditions have gotten much worse. And we've had hostages come back, both dead and alive, who've been tortured and held in unbelievably impossible, difficult conditions in tunnels, underground, no air, no food, and tortured both psychologically and physically. So what we know and what we don't know together is causing unbelievable anxiety and fear for the lives of our loved ones and the hostages who are still held there. 48 hostages out of 250, some who were taken on October 7th, are still waiting.
Yeah, at the same time, how's the group and the families of these hostages? How are they pressurizing the governments, not just the Israeli government, but also others involved? Qatar is involved. Now we have the US, which is also involved.
Yeah.
And how do you think the latest attack on Doha will impact this whole process?
Since October 7th, the families of the hostages have really been doing everything they can in this really difficult, emotional, and psychological situation to go all over the world and speak with whoever we feel can help, whether it's leaders of foreign countries, whether it is the government of Qatar or their negotiation team, the American government, the Israeli government, really doing everything that we can, meeting whoever we can, who we feel might have an impact and be able to help save the hostages. At the same time, being civilians, we don't have a lot of information about what's happening behind the scenes, and so we follow with a lot of trepidation all of the news that comes out. Most recently, as you mentioned, the attacks in Qatar, and we are very, very nervous and afraid for how this will impact the lives of the hostages, and just really waiting with bated breath to see kind of how we emerge from this, and really, really hoping that somehow a deal will be negotiated to save these people who are waiting and suffering.
My final question to you, we've also seen so much of stories of other things coming out from Gaza, talking about how it's impacting kids there, other civilians there. As a group which is helping the families of hostages and is into this cause, does it get tricky? How do you navigate this whole, one would call a narrative that comes out in, I don't know about Israeli media, at least in international media?
I think, interestingly, as hostage families, our interest is in saving lives, saving the lives of the hostages, and incidentally, their fates are tied with the lives of Gazan civilians. So for us, as humans, for me as a human, any child who is poorly impacted by war, I think it's just awful. My cousins became orphans because of violence, so I can only empathize with anyone who loses a loved one in a war very terribly.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.